Perfect. So, let's see.
Okay, so you just want to see the process of deployment of model. Okay, so we'll do that. So we're going to go to console.akash.network. That's just this website. And then we're just going to hit this deploy button right here. So these are all baseline templates that you can choose from. So, of course, Akash is fully customizable. So if you build your own, image, Docker container, whatever, then then you're more than able to deploy whatever. But for this case, we'll just do a Llama instance. So this is the template for it. So it has the image, what ports. But again, this is all pre-built. Requesting how many CPUs, how many gigs of memory, how much storage, shared memory, and then what kind of GPUs this can run on. So that's the baseline of we're going to hit create deployment right here. Um, then you're going to authorize that on that transaction on the wallet. And so right now, every provider on the network is getting an order request, and then any provider that can fulfill that order request is going to bid back. So here are three providers right here to choose from. So I'm in Texas, so we're going to choose this one that's closest to me. We're going to accept the bid, and then now that deployment file, that SDL that we just requested, we're going to send to this provider. And that provider is then going to download that image, open the ports that we requested, and fulfill those requirements for the CPU, GPUs, and such. And it's now going to deploy it. So it's pulling the image. We can see in the leases tab what ports we've forwarded. So there's that. Logs will start working once the image is downloaded and up and running, but we can see here in this events tab um, that's pulling the image right now, which will take a little bit just because it's a big image, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean that's basically it. We'll let this kind of go. Once this finishes up, I'll come back to it. But does anyone else have any other questions in the meantime? Let's see. Let's go back to the chat here. Yeah, no problem. I know a question earlier before we, had all the audio issues was should we deploy this all on Akash or can we use Verticell or whatever? I would do all on Akash. That's gonna make the judges a lot more impressed if you can deploy the whole thing on Akash. It's an Akash hackathon, so it'd be a little weird if you deployed it on something else. Um, but again, if you need any help, after this meeting's over, just drop it in the Akash Discord. I'm in there. There's a bunch of other community members in there that would be more than happy to answer your questions, help you get your website up and running, stuff like that. Let's see where we're at. Let's go to events. Looks like it's still pulling the image. Any other questions in the chat?
Well, I'll drop some from YouTube, but someone said which GPUs are available under the trial, so I don't waste time looking
Yeah.
for.
So the best way to see that is just to create a test deployment. So like you could use the same SDL. You would just take out the models that you're bidding for, and then it would bid on any GPUs. The reason I would suggest that is because the trial providers are pretty heavily utilized. So I could tell you, I know there's a couple of 3090s, I know there's a couple A6000s or whatever, but I don't know if they're being used or not right now. Okay, so yeah, we can see here that the image was successfully pulled. So now if we go to the logs, we can see that it's starting to build. I probably should have put my credentials in the, yeah. So for this specific model, you need to have a Hugging Face API token. So you just put that here and then it would work. But obviously I didn't do that. And that's why it's saying error. I'm not authorized. But yeah, that's basically how you would deploy. Um, for the Akash Chat API is not enough to use base URL Akash. An, AP, an API of also URAC website costume. All right. Not enough using base URL costume.
Yes, sorry. I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
Yes. My question is, I sorry because I hope here later. I wasn't still in YouTube. The thing is, for the Akash Chat API challenge, one of the challenges of the hackathon, at first I thought that it was enough to use the base URL from Akash in a wrapper chat like ChatGPT or other, and
Mhm.
the API. But what I understand now, if I want to deploy to a website to React or Vue, I will need also to deploy to Akash to this website. Am I right?
I don't think there's a hard requirement on that, but I would strongly recommend fully utilizing
Okay.
Akash for your entire build. Um,
Okay.
and again, if you need help Dockerizing that website and getting it deployed to Akash, feel free to ask in the Discord. And there's a couple people that will be able to help you out, help you do that.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Mhm. I will write the other questions. Okay, to the chat. Thank you very much.
No problem. How long do the deployed instances have to be live for? What is the judging timeline? Let's see here. I believe it's on the website. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I can help answer that too. Let me check.
So yeah, submissions close on the 1st. Judging starts on the 2nd and ends on the 6th. So it looks like a week. So you only need to keep it open until I would say December 7th just to make sure. But it looks like that's going to be your timeline for that.
Yep, I believe they're expecting to announce winners by December 7th, or there will be a I have to smooth this out with Adam, but there will be like a demo day around the 7th, and then winners will be announced for the finalists.
So $10 needs to last a week. I mean, it depends what kind of GPUs you're using. If you're using a massive cluster of GPUs, then $10 probably isn't going to cut it. I can circle back with Adam and see if we're doing any kind of, reimbursement or paying. I'm not sure if we are, and I can't guarantee that we will. But just drop that question in the Discord so I can just see who to reply to, and then I'll talk with Adam and see what the plan is. But that would be my answer to that. I mean, the other thing to consider is, the prize pool is, 11,000 AKT per thing. So 5,000 if you're the winner. Even if you get third, it's 2,500 AKT or 2,500 USD in AKT. So, any example of the audio processing speech recognition? I don't have an example to show today. If you could drop that question in the Discord if you haven't already, you might have. And then we can see if any other community member has an example to show you. But I'm not. I don't have one today to show you, if that makes sense. Sorry about that. Is GPU usage hard requirement for the hackathon, or is CPU fine? I mean, as long as whatever you're running doesn't need a GPU, I don't see why that wouldn't work. Let's read through the requirements again. Open source must be hosted in a public repository, must have good documentation, must have projects must utilize specifically every GPU resource. So it looks like you're probably going to need to use GPUs. So if you're whatever you're building is if it's lightweight enough to run on CPU, you could probably run a pretty low end GPU. I know there's a couple of P4s. I think there's even a 3060 Ti, a normal 3060. Those are only going to cost you, I don't know, probably $80 a month. So that comes down to like $20 a week. So, it's really not going to be that expensive to use something if you're whatever you're building is that lightweight. Anybody else have any other questions? Going once. Can we deploy multiple different servers? Yeah. So as long as they can all talk to each other, yeah, there's no restriction on that. You can build it all into one SDL with multiple what's it called? Multiple pods, or you can do, a bunch of different deployments. But as long as they can all talk to each other, yeah. I actually was working with someone last week that has 6 different services all in one deployment. So typically the only reason someone would close deployments by themselves would be if you don't have enough funds. So if you're out of money, obviously it's going to close. Um, Outside of that, I would have to know more specifics to tell you why um, it's closing. Any other questions? Is it fine to just train the model, or does it need to be some kind of ongoing service? So you need to be able to have some kind of demo for the judges to mess with. So let's say you train the model. I would have that model deployed for that judging week. So that way, when the judges go and look at your demo, they're able to actually, use it versus just handing them a model. I would have that running. No problem. Anybody else have any other questions? So if your deployment gets closed, all data is lost when that deployment closes. So if you're having that issue, um, I would recommend, like, if you want to see the logs in your pod, that's not going to tell you why it closed. Again, that's why I would have to know more about, like, what provider are you using? Did you run out of money, or is there something else? But if you wanted persistent logs, you would have to build um, some kind of thing in your pod to be able to back up your log somewhere else. Okay, so I mean, again, it would just depend on what provider. Depending on the provider, I could point you to, who runs it, and if because on the provider side, they could try to dive in a little more, um, try to figure out why that keeps happening. About Could I provide more details about Akashathon API integration? So let's see what track that is. So use a cost chat API, open permissionless, and the application if you're choosing, open source chat user interfaces, browser extension, mobile application development. So yeah, I mean, basically what that sounds like to me would be to build some kind of chat service or chat, um, basically something to where, whether it be a chat service, whether it be a help desk, whatever you want it to be, it's pulling from the Akash chat API. So the nice thing is, I mean, we're pretty limitless on that. There's not a ton of restrictions there. Just somehow integrate the API into that, and then you should be good. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions that I could answer? From a judging perspective, they need to be explicit problem solved, or just we just built some UI. For which track are you talking about? I mean, ideally, I don't think there's a specific. I don't know if any of these are specific problems to solve. Um, and I don't think it's just a generic, basic UI. I think it's a you got to find the middle ground of that. So you need to find something that is a problem. Um, you need to have an actual use case for what you're trying to build for. And then if it solves a problem, that's going to make more sense to the judges. Like, oh, that's an actual problem that this solves. That's pretty cool. Versus you just building some kind of basic chat bot. I don't think that's going to give you any real points. Any other questions that I can answer for y'all today? And again, any other questions you have, feel free to drop them in the Discord. If you need help with anything, drop in the Discord. That's going to be your best bet for getting all the help you need. Any more questions? Going once. Going twice. All righty. Well, if there's no other questions, we'll just go ahead and conclude this office hours. Again, if you have any questions, running into any issues, join the Akash Discord. The link was dropped earlier. Go to the Hackathon support channel, and then just ask any questions, post any problems you run into. I'll be in there looking for questions, and then there's a bunch of community members too that have been using Akash for years that can answer any questions you have as well. But with that, thank y'all for your time. I enjoy answering y'all's questions.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Zeke. Thanks everyone for bearing with my technical difficulties. I had to switch to my hotspot to get this up for us. So, but we'll post this recording so that everyone is able to make sure they don't FOMO on anything. So, but thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. See y'all later.
All right, good luck, everyone.